So, please help me in welcoming Roman Gonzalez.
Howdy, folks. Cool. Not gonna lie, got a head start on that happy hour over there. And I'm excited for it. So, I guess as my stuff's coming up, so my name is Roman Gonzalez in this room, and isn't in every room, but it is in this one. And I help people grow their own food at home. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Gardenio. And so today, I'm gonna show just a little bit, kind of the road to there. It was not an easy one or one that made a whole lot of sense, and if you're an entrepreneur yourself, I think lots of times that's what ends up happening. Guess while we're waiting, by show of hands, has anybody grown their own food like in this room? Oh, that's actually not a whole lot, but a few. That's awesome. How'd it go? Who was one of the ones that said yes? Oh, how'd it go? It went well. What did you grow?
A lot of things,
Okra, eggplant, tomatoes. Cool. Beets. I love beets. Strawberries, grapes. Oh man, are you sure you don't want to do this presentation? I haven't grown all that. You can make your own wine. That's rad. All right, cool. Yeah, so Roman Gonzalez, this is my road to the garden. So we can actually start on the next slide. So some might say that it started at the Chase building just a few blocks away in 2011. I graduated college already, but I was in front of the Chase building, and I had like busted shoes and a blazer that was like way too big for me, and I had this stack of resumes, right? And so these resumes were wet, and they were really bad, actually. And so I think we'll see them in a second. They're like, to starters, like they had my name, they had my like photo on it. It's like big old bold. I was like, I'm gonna be different, and it didn't really suit me well. But I also had a box of Tiff's treats in my hand too. You can start to smell the desperation. So I was across the street from the Chase building, and I had applied to over 300 jobs by this point after I'd gotten out of college. None of them, except one catering company, took me as a hire. And I went to Brown University. I went to a good school. Like I did all the right stuff in high school, and I studied philosophy, and maybe that was the thing. But I studied philosophy, and that was important because I was really interested in like how do you take something really complicated and make it easy for folks to understand. I wanted to be a professor. And while I was there, I was doing all this stuff that wasn't philosophy. I was creating organizations, media organizations. I wanted to do film, all these kinds of things. Things that I just didn't even see as entrepreneurship at the time. I was creating revenue streams, man, and but I didn't even see it because they didn't look like me. That wasn't for me. But anyway, so I'm back. And I had a plan, right? That's why I have all these things. I was going to go to my top 5 agencies in Austin. I've been searching for months. I was going to go in with a thing of cookies and a resume, and I was just going to woo them, right? And so I go to GSD&M right here, and I go in, and they sit me down, and I wait for about an hour. Nobody comes out. Nobody says anything. And so they close down. I go to my car. So I go to my car. I realize that I left the keys in the car. And so then it starts raining. So then I have to call a friend to get AAA to kind of come over, and they come over an hour later, and then I actually don't see them, and so I call them back. They're like, oh, we didn't see you there, so we'll just come back in an hour. So I'm there like waiting in the rain with my resumes. I already applied to over 300 jobs, right? And nobody would take me, and I didn't know why. And I share this story because this is probably one of the lower moments in my journey. That's a real picture. That was I share this moment because it was one of the lower points in my journey to where I am now. And at the time, I was just a marketer, right? The marketer suit fit me just as well as my actual suit fit me, not very well, right? And I've been doing that for about 6 years because I had to do something with a philosophy degree. I knew I wasn't going to do it philosophizing. And so my journey started by working for a political campaign. Oh, yeah. So basically, we scroll back to me in front of this Chase building now, and I'm downtown, and I have every reason to be angry at the world, and so I just like look up at the tall buildings and say, one day I'll work in you, like you'll rule the day, like, and I just wanted to be very victorious, and so that was a promise that I made to myself. One day, work in downtown Austin, big office, all the good stuff. So I want to do something very, very big. I want to have an impact, right? My entire life, I've been starting organizations, leading things. I didn't know what it was not to be a leader. Now I face this professional world that told me that it's not for you, right? I thought I had taken all the right steps and all the right things, and they say that's not for you. Hula Hut didn't hire me. And so anyway, I kind of go through my career. I get a few odd jobs here and there, make my way to a tech company after working for a political campaign, the Obama campaign in Ohio, 2012. Yeah, feels good to win then. And so then I worked for Twofer, and so I was marketing director there. After 1 month, I was marketing director, but it was there where I learned that I really loved the idea of when somebody comes to a website, kind of what did they experience? Like, what's the story we're telling? What are the flows? You know, how do you solve their problems, make them understand? And so there were kind of 3 key steps, and one of the first ones was me believing in myself. I started designing stuff on the side, and at the same time, I had another friend designing things in Baltimore. So I was just like, I want to design apps. I want to do this tech thing. I did a 3-day startup, and I really want to be successful at this and build a company. And I'm wondering what that next slide's going to be. There you go. So that's not me. That's a friend of mine. And he's the one that believed in me. So I was lucky enough that he actually got a job with Nook, and then PayPal, then Airbnb. Airbnb still in the house? Yeah, there you go. You might recognize him. And so with him, I was able to challenge myself and continue designing, getting better and better. And so now I have this belief in me from myself and the belief from him. So I was able to kind of evolve as a designer. I remember there was a hackathon that I participated in one time, and they were sort of like, who are the designers in the room? And then I raised my hand for the first time, and I said, me. All of a sudden, I was a designer. I don't buy anything from Goop, but I totally spoke that into existence. Like, it was a real thing. And so that led to me doing a bunch of contract jobs and working at Rackspace. Now, so Rackspace is, I worked there for 3 years. Great, big company, right? But it has, like, managers that have managers that have managers that have managers that have managers. And as a designer, I'm always interested in how can I solve the problem for people, right, in a way that I think really has a lot of integrity. And so corporate was never for me. I just found myself there. And so I decided, well, one of my favorite things is that I got a review one time. It was a critical review saying, Roman has this problem. He was like, Roman has a cowboy attitude. He's going to make things better no matter what. That was constructive feedback. I put that quote on my resume. And so, and that's cowboy, el guapo, is a sweater. And so from there, I knew that I needed to do something that was more impactful, that's something that you know, I couldn't wait to be a leader anymore. I couldn't climb the corporate ladder. That's never been me. I've never done that and enjoyed it in my entire life. And so I tried to grow my own food about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and realized that it was really difficult to do, right? Which is weird, because we've been growing food as a civilization for like 20,000 years. We should be the best at it, and we all suck at it. We just saw that. And so, but I wanted to build Gardenio. And so the idea is making it easier to grow your own food, and renewing people's relationship with food by sharing the joy of growing it, right? So how do we take that design thinking, right, listening to people on the ground doing the work, and how do we build this experience of actually being able to onboard into, you know, I have no idea how to grow, but I want to grow tomatoes. We allow people to do that, and we send them everything they need to their door that they would need to get started, all the right stuff. There's 2 distinct problems in growing your own food. How do I get started, and how am I successful? So up to date, and you'll see this in a second, we've been able to send people what they need to grow, so the right size container, live plants, kind of custom soil for any plant that you're growing, all this right for your area, little care guides to help you out as you're going along. And so we're also developing an app to help you as you're growing, to connect you to the best information, right? This is where technology comes in. This is taking the world's best practices by talking to experts and getting community feedback, taking all that knowledge and connecting it to you so you have the best knowledge for where you are. We connect you to the best sustainably produced, socially responsible products to do things like address any pest issues or feed your plants. And we connect you to other gardeners in your area who are also growing. And so you can be like, hey, my zucchini just came in, everyone who wants zucchini. Or you can be like, hey, my zucchini's a little fucked up. Anybody know kind of what's going on here? Either. And so we try and make the whole thing simple, right? So just simple plant, right? We're not making some new crazy way to grow food. We're just reminding you that you had what you needed around you all along, which in a world of hyper-innovation and technology and trying to create the new branded thing, like, we're really happy to be able to do, to show people that you don't need things outside yourself. We just want to remind you what you always had. And so That next slide is about to come. And so why do we do it, though, right? So I talked to my dad a few years ago. I was talking about Gardenio, and he was like, man, when we grew up, or when you guys were born, I have 3 brothers, I would come home, get a can of ravioli, split it between you and your brother, another can of ravioli for you and your brother, and a can of ravioli for me. And that was kind of heartbreaking, right? Like, we just didn't really know a ton about food. We weren't raised to think about the food any differently, and we were vastly misinformed our entire lives about what was healthy and access to healthy food. And so food is inherently political, and I think that's very meaningful. But how can you get involved? So you can go to growgardenio.com today, and you can buy whatever you want. Cilantro, oh man, those are going much faster now. Cilantro, parsley, kale, all that stuff is good. You can join the team. So right now, this is a team of 1 and a lot of volunteers that have helped over the past year. And we couldn't have done it without the help of Div Inc. and Capital Factory, where we are now. But you can join the team. We're looking for marketing, operations, and engineering. And we're also looking to raise funds. We've bootstrapped this now for about 1.5 years. So if you know folks, if you want to help a Latino entrepreneur today, you can introduce me to a friend of yours who has a lot of money and eats a lot of kale. But really, join the team. And so I had a dedicated slide for this. Because we're not just trying to build like a really cool company that does cool things with plants. Like, we're absolutely trying to do that. But we're also trying to build a different kind of company where everybody there, people of color, women, LGBTQIA, they all feel empowered, right? And not just in this sort of, talk way, but like the team's 1. Like, you could be a team of 4. You could own this thing, right? You could continue working at whatever job you're working, and I hope you enjoy it. But if you're looking for something to elevate that path, to be an owner, to call the shots, and then there's an opportunity here with this team. It's like I've told a bunch of my friends, where I am, you are powerful. Everybody in this room. So it's been a long time since I was across that Chase building. But now, I work downtown in a tall building. And then on some days, on the 16th floor, if you're lucky, there are free cookies. So thank you very much, you guys. Go gardenio.com. All the good stuff.